Independent Labour Party and then subsequently Scheduled Caste Federation. He was talking about Gandhi, and this is the whole dialogue that is captured by Arundhati Roy in the introduction. It's there in the book Annihilation of Caste. I'll start with Jai Bhim, because this salute is to the Ambedkarite movement what Lal Salam is to comrades and Azadi is to Kashmiris, what Black Power is to civil rights. Black Power salute is to civil rights. Though we chose the date that was available to us at Habitat Center, to whom I'm thankful, I'm glad this book is being discussed on a day that happens to be Kanchiram's birthday. B.R. Ambedkar, we can all see him, looms on us like the sun. I have with us Asad Zaidi, who is going to be in conversation with Arundhati Roy.
Excuse me.
I would request both of them to come onto the stage. Asad is a dear friend who has been supportive of Navyana since I met him in 2003, made a trip to Delhi just to meet him when we had just started Navyana. He runs 3 Essays Press, which was started just a year before, or two before Navyana came into existence. And he's a well-known Hindi poet. A sample of his book is left outside for you to see. It's not for sale, he told me. Even the sample is not there, but he's pretty famous. You can just Google him and find out about his poetry. Then there's Arundhati Roy, and we have traveled a long way, and our conversation began with me asking her. She figures in one of the first 4 Navyana books, Touchable Tales, where I'd asked her about the representation of Dalits by Dalits in autobiographies. It was a dialogue, and then that's when I asked her, have you read Ambedkar? She said, no. So that's where the conversation began. I sent her Annihilation of Caste, and it's been this 10-year conversation around this book that we have had that is reflected in her introduction. Thank you, Arundhati. There have been some intense conversations that have already been happening around the book for nearly 80 years. This evening will be merely continuing that conversation. Let me begin with what Ambedkar says at one point in Annihilation of Caste. Caste is no doubt primarily the breath of the Hindus, but the Hindus have fouled the air all over. I mean, including, I would imagine, this Habitat Center where we are caste-breathing people. In 1936, when the Hindu reformist group, the Jatpat Todak Mandal of Lahore, invited Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar to deliver its annual lecture, it asked for and received the text of the speech in advance. It found the contents, in its own words, in Ambedkar's words, unbearable. Ambedkar had anticipated this, for he begins his undelivered speech with an injunction from the Manusmriti, Varnanam Brahmano Guru. Among the Varnas, the Brahman is the teacher, preceptor. An untouchable, however qualified, being asked to preside over a conference of caste Hindus in 1936 was, as Ambedkar himself points out, an act of great daring. For as Ambedkar says, I quote, I have questioned the authority of the Mahatma whom they revere, as he was doing so in the BBC interview in 1955. He continued to hold that position. They hate me. To them, I'm a snake in the garden. The Mandal will no doubt be asked by politically minded Hindus to explain why it called me to fill this place of honor. I shall not be surprised if political Hindus regard this as an insult. Today, politically minded Dalits, at least a section of them, have regarded this act of Navyana, run by a person born into the Brahmin Varna, annotating it, and getting a writer of the diligence and intelligence of Arundhati Roy to write an introduction, as a historical reversal of that insult. This is perhaps as it should be. Ambedkar's utterances in this undelivered speech are deeply disturbing, perhaps even more so for a Dalit. I quote, the Mandal knows best the reasons which led it to travel to Bombay to select a president, to fix upon a man so repugnant to the Hindus, and to descend so low in the scale as to select an Antyaja, an untouchable, to address an audience of the Savarnas. As for myself, you will allow me to say that I've accepted the invitation much against my will, and also against the will of many of my fellow untouchables. I know the Hindus are sick of me. He goes on to say he's a persona non grata for them. And he is happy to give his own views in his own platforms. This responsibility has been thrust upon him. If this is the painful story of the origin of a text that is among the most radical and important texts ever written in the subcontinent,